Hello, and welcome to another Medicinal Monday. I'm Dr. Benjamin Alter.
And I'm Dr. Susanna Alter.
And we're both naturopathic doctors who support you in optimizing your health through whole food, plant-based nutrition, as well as mind-body medicine. And we're excited for another Medicinal Monday conversation. Remember, this podcast, this show, this Alter Your Health experience is growing and evolving. We now have a Wednesday episode, Wisdom Wednesdays. So feel free to drop into that one as well. And they are recorded live, both in our plant-based and stress-free Facebook group, as well as on YouTube at the Alter Health YouTube channel. So today we're talking about being the change you wish to see in your whole food, plant-based world. But before we get into that, I almost forgot that today is a very important and special day.
Yes. Today we are kicking off the Whole Food Plant-Based Energy Upgrade Challenge. And for those who are new in the group, please don't be confused by this Medicinal Monday episode. This is something we do every single Monday. This is actually not part of the Whole Food Plant-Based Challenge. However, the topic is related to all the conversations I've been having with many of our Whole Food Plant-Based Challenge participants, because I've been hearing from so many people how, I know the benefits of whole food plant-based eating, but I'm having a hard time implementing it in a sustainable, everyday, practical way. And I ask them, well, why is that? And many times I hear that, well, it's difficult because I'm the only one in the household who's interested in eating this way, or I'm the only one in my community who's interested in eating this way. And when I go out and want to be social, or, in a pinch, what do I prepare for the family and also myself? These are really kind of common obstacles that come up in people's journeys towards eating whole food plant-based. And while the Whole Food Plant-Based Challenge will be going over in this next week, we dive into so much crucial information that is really, so helpful to know when transitioning to whole food plant-based eating. We're not really getting into the nitty-gritty social interaction piece in the challenge. So we wanted to address it in today's Medicinal Monday.
It is one of the most important things because we don't live in a bubble. We don't live in isolation. We don't live separate from our community, our family, our friends. We very much are connected. And as whole food, plant-based eaters or not, we are reliant on that, human connection, on that those social interactions. And I think the last year or so has showed us that more than ever, how much we truly in our being crave those interactions. So what do we do when we go to the barbecue over July 4th weekend? What do we do when we, invite the friends over who want to eat the steak and the potatoes or whatever? What do we do when we, are cooking for our family who has different preferences than us? Because that's a common thing as well. Not all families are on the same wavelength. Unfortunately, our family is the Alter family, and under our household, under our roof.
Well, that's not true. I actually need to prepare some meat-based dishes for our kitty cats.
That's true.
which includes scooping food out of a bag.
we scoop. Well, every once in a while we open a can no. So we feel your pain, right? No, I'm just kidding. But in all seriousness, the point is, and we'll be talking about here, really, it's no excuse to sabotage and sacrifice yourself, your preferences, what feels best for you, just to appease those around you. And really, the title of this episode, "Be the Change You Wish to," the whole food plant-based change that you wish to see in the world. So I think we all live in a world where it would be really nice if there were more healthy people living healthy lifestyles, more healthy options, more whole food plant-based options when you go out and when you're driving across the country and you just have a reliable place to go through and get some real nourishment. I definitely envision that sort of world, and no, that's the sort of world we're collectively evolving and moving into. We just have to, if we want to sustain and continue growing and evolving and thriving on the planet. Otherwise, we're devolving. Otherwise, our health is just atrocious. not to mention fertility rates and all the things. It's kind of really scary. So the point is, like, we got to do what we got to do. And as we do so, as we kind of anchor in our being and live our life and make our choices based on informed, confident understanding of what we're doing for ourselves, we are not only taking best care of ourselves, but we're really empowering others to take best care of themselves. And that's not to say that they need to. That's not to say that they will. That's not to say that everyone's going to naturally just jump on board immediately and start eating what you're eating. But it obviously creates the space for those options to be more of a reality. So it really is as simple as just having that sort of mindset, I believe. But that being said, there are, of course, a lot of practical, strategic things that we might consider doing so that we have more success day to day in our whole food plant-based eating.
Yeah. Yeah. So should we go ahead and cover some of those practical steps that one can take?
Yeah, with the preface that by no means are we experts. So we invite you to share what works for you or what has worked for you. And we also invite you to share whatever struggles that you might face, because chances are you are definitely not alone in them, right? So yeah, what sort of strategies beyond just knowing it and doing it, what sort of strategies do you have, Dr. Susanna, for, say, someone who is in a family where they're cooking multiple meals?
Yeah. Let's cover that scenario first, because that can, seem to be one of the trickiest scenarios, right? Especially if you're busy and you're working as well on top of it. And so, in these scenarios, I think it becomes even more important to keep things simple. This is kind of a principle we talk about a lot in food prep, especially when you're new to whole food plant-based eating. Sometimes people they feel like they need to go find these elaborate whole food plant-based recipes and whip up this separate recipe as well as whatever they're making for the rest of the family. And, keeping things as simple as possible will actually help you be more successful in maintaining this lifestyle. And what that might look like is, very kind of plain, simple meals in the beginning. Basically what a good balanced whole food plant-based meal looks like is we've got some good starch-based fuel, potatoes, rice, or beans, or all three of them, with some kind of non-starchy veggie in there. It could be steamed broccoli, it could be water sauteed veggies, and then some kind of delicious sauce that you drizzle over everything with a side of leafy greens. This is kind of the most ideal, basic, balanced whole food plant-based meal that can come in hundreds of different versions. Right. But if we just have all of these staples prepared ahead of time, we can quickly assemble a delicious and satisfying whole food plant-based meal for ourselves quickly while we're whipping up something else for the rest of the family. The other scenario.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
And ideally, right, the food that you are preparing for yourself to stay nourished and feel good, maybe it'll be the side dishes for your family, right? So maybe what it looks like is you're eating the side dishes. So you're making triple, quadruple, quintuple, 10 times the amount of sides to appease your whole food plant-based metabolism.
Exactly. Yes. And the other thing that someone can do is go ahead and, start bringing in a rotation of recipes that are very flexible. And what I mean by this is, like, you can easily add meat on top. You could add, some grilled chicken breast on top, or you could add some cooked up hamburger meat and add it into the mix.
Sounds great, right?
For example, like, you can make a delicious plant-based chili and then just add in the whatever afterwards, right?
The flesh.
Yes. You could make, for example, an Asian kind of stir-fry dish and then add in some chicken or some shrimp on top, right? You could prepare a delicious kind of Mexican kind of fajita bowl type meal and then add in the pulled pork or the grilled chicken or whatever it is. You get the idea. It's like meat eaters are going to be satisfied as long as there's meat. So you can just add it on top to whatever great whole food plant-based meal you're making for yourself.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest here. You know, for me, I don't have any interest or willingness to prepare meat for anyone ever. So that's me. And if you are that clear within yourself, then draw the line. Draw the line for yourself. And if you've got a 6-year-old kid or kiddo or whatever, he'll get on board or she'll get on board. We don't need to just appease their evolving young taste buds. We can form their taste buds and form their understanding of nutrition from a young age. And then in terms of our grown-up kids or husbands or wives or family members, they've got, means to get to the grocery store and buy the stuff that they want. And if they really want to cook it, then maybe we should allow them the luxury of doing so. So that's just kind of where I stand.
Approach.
That's where I stand. And I cannot see myself really ever preparing any sort of non-whole food plant-based meal. I mean, I'll maybe, spaghetti or whatever. That's not whole food, right? But yeah, I can't see myself cracking eggs or milk mixing cheese or slicing steak just to kind of appease the taste buds and preferences of people who have the ability to do that. I'm not going to judge them if they do, but I'm just not going to enable. Is that like an okay word? I'm not going to enable that, especially with my understanding of how detrimental it can be, the long-term consequences of these decisions. So I don't personally, anyways, I'm sharing where I stand just to maybe give you permission to stand in your own being as well. Once again, not from a place of judgment, but from a place of love, and really compassion for the humans that you live with or cook for or whatever it might be.
Yes. So there's another scenario I've been hearing about that I'd like to cover. And that is that, if someone, is still living in a household with kids or a partner who's eating all these non-whole food plant-based foods, whether it's kind of processed food or whether it is, meat, dairy, or eggs, sometimes, they find themselves just being tempted by what's around in the kitchen, what's easy, what's convenient to get your hands on. And it's usually not the whole food-based things. And so in this scenario, it is so important that we first fuel our bodies, first nourish our bodies properly. Because when we do so, cravings and temptations don't have any power over us anymore. For example, we can think of any scenario. Even, I say this all the time. If you catch me and I have not been eating enough that day, I haven't nourished myself to the extent that I need, I might be hungry and smell the neighbor's barbecue and say, oh, that smells pretty good.
There's nothing wrong with junk food smelling good. Or even
it's designed to smell good.
There's nothing wrong with thinking that McDonald's French fries smell kind of good.
Right. It doesn't mean your body is missing it or needing it. But the point being that when we stay nourished with the good carbohydrate-rich plant foods, then those cravings aren't as strong. We're not as likely to give into any cravings. It's really the main cause. There's a few causes why cravings can really be so strong for people, but one of the main causes is that the body doesn't have all of the nourishment it needs.
That's the main cause.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main cause. I was just reflecting on living back in Portland, Oregon, and there were a bunch of junk food restaurants, for lack of a better word. One of which was Salt and Straw, the fancy ice creamery.
Mm-hmm.
And I never had any Salt and Straw ice cream, but I would go there often with friends or family who would come in town. It was kind of the destination spot. And I would walk in and get the smells wafting in the air. And it smelled really good. And, I'd walk the line into the ice cream line and go up to the counter and, watch them scoop the ice cream. And they'd always ask me, so like, what will it be for you, sir? And I was just like, I'm just here for the smells. And it's okay to be there for the smells and to, yeah. And I think that if I were like really famished, I'd be like, oh man, it's going to be really hard not to order an ice cream cone. But as long as you're staying nourished, then you feel so good. And hopefully, this is another important thing. Hopefully your body knows what it feels like to feel bad, so that we can remember like, oh, last time I had the ice cream cone, I had a migraine headache, or I had a flare of my joint pain, or I had, a runny nose and a cough and a cold for the next week. Whatever it might be, our body gives us messages. So it's okay to quote unquote fall off the wagon or whatever it might look like and binge on this or binge on that. But stay curious and stay compassionate and listen to the body's messages, the symptoms, and know and orient yourself towards true north, true health, regardless of where you are, because it always is available.
Yeah. So how do we make sure the body stays optimally nourished so that we don't give in to these cravings or temptations? Well, that's going to be a huge focus of our Whole Food Plant-Based Challenge this week. But just another shout out to the staple food prepping. What I mean by this is just having plenty of cooked potatoes, cooked rice, cooked beans, cooked something on hand ready, or fruit. A fruit smoothie takes 2 minutes to whip up. Having these go-to easy, quick meals that even when you are busy and running around and you don't have time to make a big elaborate meal for yourself, you've got good nourishment that you can always rely on and stay nourished throughout the day.
So we've got a comment from a Facebook user, and we're using new software. So you got to click buttons in order for us to see who you are. And so we're sorry we don't know who you are, but we get a comment that says, being prepared in advance helps, but I often feel guilty for eating better than other family or friends. So that's an interesting feeling. You definitely don't need to feel guilty for eating better. No. You could feel, it's really easy to just let go of that one, because I'm telling you right from where I sit, that's ridiculous. Feeling guilty for feeling good, feeling guilty for being the whole food plant-based change you wish to see in the world. No need to feel guilt ever.
Yeah.
Unless you like steal something. But even so, you can just let it go and just forgive yourself and make amends and be in peace.
Yeah. But interesting. That reminds me of that Marianne Williamson quote. That's like, we
never remember, but
we never remember it. But it's kind of like, who are you? Who are you to hold back your brilliance?
Right.
Who are you to hold back this inspirational lifestyle that you're living?
Right.
Yes.
Be the change. Do it. Live it.
Yes.
And like own it.
Yeah.
Don't be bashful in how awesome you are.
So then this kind of transitions into this third scenario that I'd like to cover, which is really, when we're invited to the dinner party, when we're invited to the restaurant with friends, and we're the only plant-based eater. Oh my gosh, how do we navigate this scenario? Everyone's going to think I'm weird. And, in the beginning, I remember always feeling very self-conscious about really stating my lifestyle, just letting people know, owning it. I thought, I don't want to be an imposition. I don't want people to feel uncomfortable because I eat this way. But the more that I've just owned it and been transparent with people, and just, sometimes the scenario is like, for example, like Christmas always comes up where we're invited to this this Christmas party that's just so traditional, just, there's nothing whole food plant-based on the menu, and it's kind of this fancy thing that my cousin puts together. And it's like, sometimes we have to call ahead and say, hey, like, we're so happy to be joining you for Christmas. And we think that the best way to go about the food is that we just bring our own dish, and we'll bring more to share with everyone else who's interested.
And if people get like, oh, how dare they not eat my food? How dare they deny the offerings that I share with them? Well, that's their issue. Those are their thoughts. Those are their judgments. Those are their feelings. We're not responsible for how other people react to our preferences ever, period. I just was at a restaurant with family, a Mexican restaurant in New Mexico, and I was an advocate for what I wanted, and Mexican restaurants are great. So I got a serving of rice, a serving of beans, a serving of vegetables. I was eating chips and salsa, and there was oil, and I was enjoying it, and I was okay with it. But in any case, the waiter came with the rice and the beans and little dishes. And I'm like, can I have más, por favor? Dos más, por favor. So I asked for more because the servings were not adequate, because people aren't used to what it looks like and means to actually be nourished with plants. It looks like more quantity, more nutrient density, more good stuff.
Yeah.
So anyways, that is important as well. Just asking for what you want, because again, you deserve it. If you don't, who does? I mean, really.
Yeah. And I guess we're going to kind of wrap up today's conversation.
We're going to wrap up today's conversation.
Because we're almost at the top of the half hour. But I want to read this comment. I definitely feel more confident when hanging out with friends and going to restaurants. It was tough in the beginning for sure. Time helps. Yes, I agree with that. Time definitely helps to all those newbies out there.
Oh, yeah. And then another one from PB on YouTube. I don't feel guilty. I feel bad they won't get plant-based to try. I'm with you. If anything, the feeling that I have is just kind of like some sadness, that like, if only they jumped on the bandwagon for a couple days, weeks, and started feeling energized and eating enough and allowing their taste buds to shift. Boy, the power. Yeah. So thanks for hanging with us. Thanks for exploring this topic of being the whole food plant-based change you wish to see in the world. Thanks for being the whole food plant-based change we all wish to see in the world. You're not alone. And just another reminder, if you feel alone and want to remember that you're not alone, come on into the Plant-Based and Stress-Free Facebook group, where there's all sorts of good stuff happening, not the least of which is our upcoming Whole Food Plant-Based Challenge that starts tonight. And it's going throughout the week, so you can come in later if you want, but we're going deep this week into energy. We're talking about upgrading your energy in this whole food plant-based challenge.
Yes. So for those who are new tuning in right now, the plant-based or the challenge videos are going to pop up just like they are right here on Facebook and YouTube.
And YouTube.
We've got a special link. It's actually a private YouTube video. So if you're not already registered for the event, you will need to register for the event in order to get that private link.
Yeah.
But we're so excited to kick off this challenge with you this week. And we're 2 hours away.
Couple hours away.
Holy cow.
So we'll see a lot of you in a couple hours. The rest of you, we hope to catch you next time, maybe on the Wisdom Wednesday episode. So peace and love. We appreciate you. And till next time.
Bye for now.